What's up guys, Dennis here, and today I want to show you an idea I have for turning a gas-fired hot water heater into a wood-fired furnace. Now I got this idea from an Instagram post where this guy took a metal pipe and was able to heat a tent with a little campfire. This is his campfire. There's supposed to be logs. Here's his tent. He had a pipe going through the fire into the tent. The fire heated up the pipe, heated up the air inside the pipe, and the hot air went into the tent, and because the pipe, the end of it was like somewhere over here or something, fresh air was going in. This got me thinking. The way a hot water heater works is that you have a tank with a chimney that goes through it. And down below, this is for gas-fired hot water heaters. Anyway, the gas comes into a burner, and there's a burner on the bottom, and it's basically a fire. And the hot gases exhaust up through the tank of water. This is all water. And go up through your, the chimney or whatever, and out the roof, out of the house. What if it was the reverse? Build the fire inside. Have a hole here for the smoke to come out. And now the hot air can get sucked in through the bottom. It rises up, out a pipe, into your house. And nice hot air comes flowing, oh, you can't see that, flowing into your house. I just so happen to have a hot water tank in my backyard that's been sitting there for a couple years, and I've been waiting for a project because I knew I would think of a cool project to do with this. So all I have to do is cut some kind of door in the side here so I can load wood in, cut a hole in the top so that the smoke can go out. This entire tank then becomes kind of like a chimney. And then I got to figure out how to connect something to the top and direct that hot air into my garage. Because it's cold in my garage. It should be warm by now, but for some reason it decided to snow instead. So this should be simple enough to just build and see if it works. Quick disclaimer here though, and I'm being serious about this. We're talking about fire close to a house, building a fire inside of a tank on the wrong side that's not supposed to be. Fire safety, blah, blah, blah. Never leave a fire unattended. Always put it out if you're going to leave it. Only build them inside of real wood stoves or things that have been tested to be safe to have a fire inside of it. That said, let's go build a fire inside of a hot water heater. Check, test, check. Alright, so here's the tank I'm going to use. This has been sitting outside for a while, so it's a little bit rusty, but it wasn't in great shape to begin with. I got it from a buddy of mine because he had to replace this because it was leaking. So I actually did see a hole in it. Yeah, so it does actually have a hole in it. This is going to be my least favorite part of the project because these tanks, I think, are lined with glass. So when I cut it open, I'm going to be basically grinding steel and glass, and I just don't like the idea of that going everywhere and getting in the air, but I'm just going to do it anyway. Before I do cut this out though, I marked where a hinge is going to go, and these are brass hinges, so I can't just weld them on, which would have been easier, but I'm going to rivet them on instead. And this will make the hinge for the door. So I want to mark that, drill those holes first before I start cutting. I'm actually going to keep this on for a little bit because it stinks in here, and there's still some, stuff floating around. But I just wanted to tell you the reason I taped this bottom part back on was to kind of try and keep some of the dust inside the barrel. I also tried to cut in like a counterclockwise motion. If you noticed when I did that, most of the sparks went into the container, and hopefully most of the dust and glass dust and stuff stayed inside there. Although, probably not. Okay. Yeah, so it's hard to see, but there is a glass coating on this, and you can maybe see towards the edges where it kind of chips away. Not quite what I was expecting, to be honest. And of course, I drilled the holes too big because I thought I had 1/4-inch rivets, and I have 3/16-inch rivets. Am I in focus? So I'm going to use bolts instead. I don't know why I'm laying on the ground. Well, it's a prototype. It's got a little bit more rust on the, what would have been the chimney than I thought. So, ideally, this piece, which separates the fire and the hot air, the air that we want to go into the garage, the place we're working and living, will be very much separated so that there's no smoke or fumes going in to that pipe there. Don't necessarily know how structurally sound it is, but the only thing I have to put on the top there is this 4-inch aluminum elbow, which isn't ideal because it's aluminum. It's not totally airtight. I think it's for a dryer vent. But the real problem is the top piece of that isn't really meant to have a duct go directly on it. The gas hot water heaters have a gap between the top of the hot water heater and the chimney, so that some fresh air can go up with the gas. So there's actually not supposed to be anything connected there normally. So I'm trying to stretch this out here just to try and get it over the top. Again, this is really just see if it works. Oh, this just keeps getting better and better. I thought I had 4-inch. I've got like 6-inch, or is this 8-inch? I actually have some ductwork that would have been better for this, but I went out into the shed to get it, and I almost pissed myself because there's something big and hairy in there crawling around, and I didn't stick around to find out what it is. It's probably just a groundhog, but... Whew! I'm not even kidding. It scared the hell out of me. Alright, so I'm just going to try and make this fit. And my plan is to run the ductwork right in through that hole. Now, why do I have a hole in my garage door, you say? Yes, I've tried to do this before. So I actually had a solar heater here hooked up once, and it didn't work at all. It was, I mean, it worked a little bit, but it didn't have nearly enough heat to keep the garage warm. I did have warm air going in, which would have been awesome if the garage was super insulated. It's not. Test, check. My wife's looking at me from the kitchen window. Well, I gotta say, this looks exactly how I expected it would look. But now that I see it, I think this is a terrible idea. I'm gonna try it anyway. You might not know this, but I actually used to be a firefighter. All right, let's see if any smoke's coming in here. Don't really feel much heat yet, but it just started going. So it's got to heat up that pipe in the middle first. Well, it does smell like smoke in here, but there's also a fire right outside the door. All right, so we got a pretty good fire going. And so now we're going to see if this is doing anything. So up there on the wall, about 43, 45 degrees. Oh, 51. Let's get a little bit closer here. 60. That's not a ton, really. Aluminum can be hard to measure because it reflects the infrared. Oh, there's hot air coming out of there. There is hot air coming out of that pipe. It doesn't smell like smoke, so that's a plus. Well, it's doing something. I hope you found this interesting. I think a better idea would be to have a water coil. I think there's a reason they don't make these. I think there's a reason that you can... Well, I'll be honest, guys. I don't know how to frame this video. You know, it makes a video really interesting if there's a spectacular failure or if something just works amazing. And if I like painted it and I showed you the garage and I'm all like, oh, it's so hot in here. It was just okay. Like, the air got up to maybe about 80 degrees that was coming out of the vent, the tube, the ductwork, which is pretty good, but you'd need like that air coming out a lot faster to really make a big difference to warm up the whole garage. Yeah, I could probably engineer ways to make this more efficient, but now we're talking about actually designing something, and that's not the point of this. The point of this was to say, can I just take junk parts and make a decent furnace out of them? I think the answer is yes. It just depends on where you're going to put this and like what your application is. You know, maybe I had the hole at the top too big. Maybe that should have been smaller. maybe some baffles inside so that, or maybe even just build the fire on the other side of where the hole was, so it would have to cross that pipe more to transfer more heat. I don't know. I'm not sure it's worth me trying to investigate any further. Totally encourage you guys. No, I don't. I said don't do this at home. But if you do this, let me know if you have any other ideas. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment down below. Ideas you have, opinions, experience, whatever. I love hearing from you guys and having discussions about these ideas. So leave a comment. If you're not a subscriber and you like this kind of stuff, hit subscribe. Click the bell if you want to be notified when I have new videos coming out. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Oh, I'm just sweating. It's like 40 degrees.